Welcome to the Four Rooms podcast, where we explore the four rooms of entrepreneurship: health, wealth, scale, and relationships. Each episode is dedicated to opening new doors and uncovering insights that empower you to design your entrepreneurial journey to be both lucrative and fulfilling. And now, your hosts, Amber Spears and Brett Kaufman.
All right. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Four Rooms podcast. My name is Brett Kaufman. I'm the host, and I'm so excited for today's episode because we are with someone that is going to blow your mind. Next to me is Denise Gosnell. She is the creator of the amazing book, The Vacation Effect for Entrepreneurs, and she's going to show you how to scale your business while working a lot less because she's been a master of that. So Denise, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Brett. I'm excited to chat with you today.
This is going to be great.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So before we get into this book, and by the way, the colors are perfect. Blue is my favorite color. Actually, blue is my second favorite color. Purple is my favorite. I want to get into, because you said before we started, you were a workaholic before you got into all this. Can you break down what you meant by that? Like, tell me what your life was before this book was created.
Yeah, so back about 12 years ago, I was working 80 hours a week, had 3 companies, scaling them, owned a law firm, real estate company, and consulting company. I still own those 3 companies today, but life's very different today. But yeah, I was like miserable, but I was working all the time because I wanted to provide a nice life for my family. I wanted to take them where we wanted to go on vacation, like the typical American dream, right? Yeah. Like all entrepreneurs want to do. Working my butt off to pay for the things that my family wanted to enjoy and that I wanted to provide for them. But it was a nightmare at the time. I was just grinding away all the time. I was with my daughter. She was little at the time, and I was with her, but not really with her, if you can relate to that. Like I would I'd go to her sporting activities, her swim meets or whatever. And I was there, but I was thinking about work in my head, or I would take work with me to all her stuff. And when it wasn't her 30 seconds, I was working the whole time, except for when my husband would tap me. Oh. And I'd be like, and sometimes I'd miss it, and she'd come over and she'd be like, "Did you see?" I'm like, "You did so good." And I didn't even know what it was she had done. Oh. And my husband had to fill me in later. And it was something that took something more drastic than that to get my attention. So I'm happy to talk about that if that's of interest. But that was where I was 12 years ago.
I actually would love to hear, if you don't mind sharing.
13 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. What was that drastic event that caused everything to change?
Yeah. So I'm still in that mode on June 20th, 2011. And basically I was about to do an affiliate product launch for one of my companies. And we had affiliates scheduled to mail at 8 a.m. for a training product that we were selling. And I wake up, my husband and I are in the kitchen, 8 a.m., and a lightning bolt strikes our house.
Oh, okay.
And we were standing in the kitchen and we see the lightning bolt hit the house. Boom, shake. My daughter's toys in the room. "Welcome to Dora's Playhouse" turned on from the electrical shock of the house.
It's so creepy.
It was creepy as hell. I mean, I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, okay. Well, thank goodness it didn't hit us, because we were in the, we saw it hit the house, the boom and the shake. And long story short, it killed our phones. My cell phone didn't work. There was a bad storm going through. Tried calling 911. I didn't know if there was a problem or not, but I was going to have them check it out because I knew we were hit by lightning. And then about 15 minutes later, we're still walking around the house, just looking to see if everything's okay. My daughter's still asleep upstairs. She was 5 at the time.
She slept through the entire thing.
Yeah, she was still asleep, 5 years old, upstairs. And there's a knock at our front door, and it's a fire department, fireman standing there. And he's like, "You got to get out. Your house is on fire." We're like, "What?" like the neighbor had called 911 thinking that they, had been struck because they heard the boom, but we couldn't, our phones were dead because we were hit. So he tells us to get out. And then he said one thing to me that, like, for the rest of that day and after that became a gut-wrenching question. He's like, "What do you want us to go retrieve from your house in the next 5 minutes before it's destroyed by fire and water? What do you want us to retrieve in the next 5 minutes before it's destroyed by fire and water?" Because what I learned separately from that question was that if you have a fire, if you call the fire department, most of your stuff's going to be ruined. Not that you don't want to call them, but just be prepared that what the fire doesn't get, the water will ruin. If water poured on this whole room for 12 hours, it's all going to be ruined. Yeah. So that was what was going to happen to our house. But so that's what he asked me. And I already had my daughter, or I already had my like my purse and my, my daughter, of course, the humans were safe and everything. Yeah. We grabbed all the humans and my, like my laptop and my purse were like right by the door already because of where my office was. So I'm like, Guess what I asked him to grab? And that was what was gut-wrenching for me as this workaholic in the moment.
Was it your laptop?
It wasn't my laptop, but I already had it. But that for business reasons, I would have grabbed that. But what I asked him to go grab were my wedding photos that were on the piano from 30 years ago, 25 years ago, or however long ago it was at the time. Because I didn't have those digitally back then. From 30 years ago, I didn't have digital photos. That kind of stuff didn't exist. I asked him to grab my daughter's stuffed animal bunny. Those of you kids know what I mean. The bunny was a family member. We couldn't leave without Bunny. So we had to go retrieve Bunny, and I had to have them get my grandmother's blanket that she made me as a child. They were all sentimental things, is the point. So like there I am standing in my neighbor's garage watching our house burn for 8 hours in the rain, which is an oxymoron, by the way, to watch it burn in the rain and then putting the fire out going, I just answered, like how I answered the question. I kept playing it back in my mind going, I'm working 80 hours a week to pay for all this stuff that I don't even care about when it's burning. That wasn't what I even had them grab. It was such a gut punch, but it was a gift, a huge gift after the fact. And at the time it sucked, but it was a gift after the fact.
Okay, so we just had our house burned down. We just had this traumatic moment. Walk me through what happens next. How did you start shifting in your business?
Yeah, so that day I decided I was going to do things differently. I was going to figure out how to make more money, but also, or not make more money, but continue having a great life, have more time with my family for what really mattered. I wanted both, right? We all want both as business owners. We want a lot of free time. We want a business growth that keeps growing and, providing a nice life for our family. But I struggled for 4 or 5 years after the fire trying to figure out how to make that happen. Like I'd work harder, my revenue would go up. I'd work less, my revenue would go down. I'm like, well, shit, what am I doing here? Yeah. Like this just doesn't seem to be working. And this is not okay. I'm not going to live like that anymore because my revenue was just going down. Even though I had a nice insurance check, that the actual active income was going down. I'm like, this isn't working. Yeah. So I went to this meditation retreat and I asked the question, what am I missing? How can I have the schedule I've always dreamed of? Now, I wanted a 3-day work week.
If you don't mind me asking, was it hard for you to take off the time to go to the meditation retreat in the stage?
No, it wasn't. Because I always was able to take a trip here or there, 3 or 4 days here or there. I always made it work. I would just work extra. Again, I would work extra the 3 weeks before to put in the same amount of hours, just in a shorter amount of time.
Got it. Okay.
So that was the struggle I was in. I'm sure a lot of people could relate to this, being in that kind of a cycle.
Yeah.
So basically I go to this meditation retreat and I asked the question, how can I have the schedule I've been dreaming of? And it's like God whispering it in my ear. Denise, what are you waiting for? All you have to do is decide and make today what you want tomorrow to be.
Getting goosebumps.
And I was like, okay, all I have to do is decide and make today what I want tomorrow to be. So what I took that as, if you want a 3-day work week, change your schedule to have a 3-day work week. So I'm like, but I was terrified of doing that long term because I'm like, well, what if my business falls apart? Like I've been struggling before. If I worked less, I made less money. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just for the next 30 days, I'm going to give it a try as a test. It's no different than me taking 8 business days off, 2 days a week for the month. Yeah. Would be 8 business days. It's like taking a week vacation. I'm like, I can do that. Yeah. So I put it on my calendar and it was painful at first, Brett. It was painful because I had to shift a few things around to get rid of the stuff, all the meetings I had, but I did it. And after that end of the 30 days, I was like, I'm going to extend my experiment by 30 more days. And I did it for another 30 days and got a little bit better. What I started realizing, I was cramming meetings all throughout the week. I had meetings scheduled every day of the week in the past. I changed it to where I only had meetings on 2 days a week. Now I only do them on 1 day a week. All my meetings are on Mondays. It's like they're packed Mondays, back to back from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern time. I have meetings every Monday. But you know what? The rest of the week, I don't have anything scheduled. But I didn't start there. I've gotten to that now, many years later. But I just started with a 3-day work week. And what started happening was, how, and this is where the term the vacation effect comes from in part. You know how when you get ready to go on vacation, have you ever noticed that you got this long list of shit you got to get done? But what ends up happening is you end up getting a long list of it done and then you mark off a bunch of stuff or you delegate it to somebody else. Yes. That's called forced hyper-efficiency. That's the term that I've coined, forced hyper-efficiency. The circumstances, you're not going to be available. So you force yourself to go into hyperdrive and you either get it done or you delegate or you delete it. Which what I realized by doing that with the 3-day work week for 30 days was that I actually could train myself to do that all the time.
Wow.
Does that make sense? Like it's like you're that hyper efficiency you get right before going on vacation can become a way of life.
So that makes sense. Now I can feel the questions that people are going to be asking, because I'm also asking them myself. Number one, did your income go down in those first like 30, 60 days that you were experimenting while doing this?
They did not. They did not.
Wow.
And that was because I had to learn to start saying no to all the bullshit stuff I was doing that I shouldn't have been doing anyway. Just because I was working 80 hours a week doesn't mean I was being productive.
Yes.
There's a difference between being busy versus productive. And that was what I realized.
That's huge.
That.
Number two, did you find that you had people already on your team that you trusted, that they could do the job just as good, if not similar level, when you delegated it down?
No one ever got it at my level, but they got it 80 or 90% of the way there, to where then it was either good enough that it could be done, or I could finish it in like 30 minutes instead of 20 hours, which was way better than me being the bottleneck or me doing it.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of entrepreneurs get stuck in, from what I've seen.
So,
because I did it too.
Now we're like 60 days in. I'm always fascinated about this. Did you test your like vitals beforehand, of like blood pressure, stress level, anything like that? I'd be so curious to see if that changed. Yeah.
I wish I would have, though.
Yeah.
Like my friends who've seen me transform over the years are like, you're like a different person every time we see you. I'm like, because I just keep evolving into being more and more laid back instead of this high strung, stressed, crazy, busy entrepreneur. You know, now I can't promise everybody who follows a 3-day work week or whatever their dream version is that nothing will ever happen where the revenue goes up or down. But what I learned that was priceless out of that was to shift my attention on results instead of time spent. I'm trying to help everyone understand how to start looking at their team this way too. If your team members can get stuff done in 20 hours a week and it's bringing the company a 50-hour a week value, let them go freaking have the day off and go play golf or whatever their passion is.
Right.
Do you care if they're getting it done, whether they're clocking 8 hours a day? If they're brilliant and can get it done in 4, like that's the dream. Let them have the freedom that you want as an entrepreneur. Like I let my team have autonomy on things like that. Like if they can get the work done in less time, I want to incentivize that. I don't want to be a time puncher for them either.
And they probably love working for you and want to stay with you for longer because you treat them well and they feel like they're a part of that.
Yeah, my people tell me I'm the best boss they've ever had because I like look at it like that. And I'm just generous with stuff like that. I treat them the way I want as an entrepreneur.
That's so sweet.
I'll be rewarded for that.
So my psychic abilities are kicking in again.
Okay.
And I can feel a question coming in. A lot of us, especially you met a lot of our people downstairs, right? For those that don't know this, actually, we're recording this in our LA intensive. There's about 50 to 65 amazing, all 7 to 10 figure entrepreneurs downstairs. A lot of us are type A. And when we first hear that, we're like, I don't know if I can do that. Like they clench up and get uncomfortable. What did you do to talk yourself through that process to make it actually a reality?
Yeah, and I go into this a lot in the book, but there's a process that the short version of the process is, you know, you got to convince yourself it's just a 30-day experiment. And that's what I did to myself. We're all always testing stuff. We split test, A/B testing, whatever. It's just an experiment for data. You know, it's no different than you taking a week vacation with your family. You're just spreading it out over 30 days. I had to mind trick myself in order to do it. And then at the end of the 30 days, I mind trick myself again to say, I'm going to do it another 30 days. I did that for 6 months before I actually made it a commitment to myself because I had to keep mind tricking myself.
Yeah.
But there was guilt that arose. That's the 3 biggest things that people ask me about are, how do you get started because, you know, you're worried? And that's the 30-day experiment.
Yeah.
Just see what you learn. It's a data gathering experiment where, if nothing else, it will tell you where you need to delegate more, where you're wasting time, and how you can restructure your meetings. Gosh. If nothing else, it'll tell you that even if you don't continue it.
I love
It's a huge value add.
Wow.
But, you know, the second one is guilt. But man, what will my team think if I'm only working a 3-day work week or 4s or 5 or 3, 2, whatever your chosen, you know, dream work schedule is? Will my team think I'm guilty? Well, no, not if you also create well, first of all, they have a job, so you don't have to be there all the time.
Yeah.
So if they have a problem with that, you probably don't have the right person. But if you start treating them like I was talking about, where they just have metrics to hit, and if they're hitting their metrics, you give them the same autonomy, then they're not going to care either. They're going to actually love it. In fact, all the clients that I've coached through this process, they've said their team was glad they got the hell out of the way.
Amazing.
So they're like, keep working with her. She's helping you get out of our way. Yeah.
So you've already sold like 95% of the people listening that have this problem, which is great. Now I want you to go into the book itself. So for someone listening, Okay, is there a technique that you go through on the best way to at least start organizing at the beginning, and then like walk me through the phases? Like give me some good tips and strategies.
Yeah, I start with, actually helping people get in tune with their life purpose. And we all like, is there this purpose we're all destined to have or whatever? And I help people come up with a life purpose and a power word, a one word that summarizes you at your core. I've got some ideas I'll talk to you about after the interview on what I think yours might be.
Oh.
But mine is amplifier. So I'm an amplifier. So it's like I've got 3 different things I love doing, regardless of business, regardless of industry. I love learning new things. I love helping others, and I love simplifying the complicated. And the best word I could come up with that articulates those 3 things was a amplifier, a piece of music equipment that takes in a bunch of inputs and outputs something beautiful and coherent.
Wow.
And that's what summarizes those 3 things. So whenever I'm measuring, do I want to take on a new project? Do I want to say yes to this or say no to this? Does this let me be an amplifier? If not, I should say no to the project or give it to someone else in my company if it's a fit for the company, but not me. So part 1 of the book talks about that and walks through having people analyze how they spend their time. It gets them into doing a 30-day experiment. And then based upon what they learn in the experiment, it walks them through optimizing one by one the inefficiencies they identified, and then getting them into the phase 3 where they can learn to start living the vacation effect lifestyle. And that's where it's a 2-sided coin, the 2 meanings. I already told you one of the meanings about the hyper efficiency you get before going on vacation. The double meaning, the second meaning is life should have so much joy, Brett, that it feels like a perpetual vacation. Like if you're waiting until retirement to have joy, it's messed up.
Yes.
Like everybody should have things in their weekly life that they love doing.
Yeah. I love that.
That's my passion, to help people have that.
That's so beautiful. I recently did an audit. August was the worst month I've ever had in my entire life. We can talk about this at a different time, but it allowed me to really get clear on like what's my dream life, but more specifically like what's my dream day with what I'm doing with work. And I'm not at this level yet. I'm very excited to get there from what you're teaching me, but I already can see like, oh, just the small things, delegate this out, or how do I structure my day to find more joy? Because you're right, like this is the one shot we got at life. We got to make it count. We got to make it so effective.
And that's exactly what the book, which is also available on Audible for people like me that like to listen.
Yeah.
Like it helps you walk through that whole process and do it for yourself. Whatever that version is to you. Your version may be totally different than mine, and that's cool, but at least you have a path for how to get there.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you this question. So you're doing this now. You're absolutely doing so well. You're loving it. Let's fast forward 20 years. What does your life look like in 20 years from now?
Well, I'm excited. I just formed a new foundation called Abundance for Humanity Foundation.
Oh.
And I just got the 501c3 approval. I'm working on the fundraising plan. I was the first donor. I haven't asked anyone else for donations yet. And I plan on being a full-time philanthropist sooner rather than later, actually.
Good for you.
Because I'm passionate about the mission of helping people all over the world have joy in their life. And, we're in a world today that there should not be poverty and there should not be homelessness. But if we don't go into the trenches and help people solve the mental illnesses or the circumstances that got them there, giving them food and shelter isn't going to solve the problem if we don't treat the underlying cause.
Yeah.
So I'm just super excited about, at another meditation retreat that I went to, I got the download to form this foundation with these 3 pillars. Are you seeing a pattern here that meditation has changed my life? I highly recommend every entrepreneur that start doing advanced meditations if you don't already. I like to think of it as connecting to God's heartbeat and receiving wisdom.
Yes. If there was a way I could like heart what you just said, I'm trying to click the virtual button right now.
Yeah.
For me, it's been breath work, meditation.
That's part of the meditation practice I do. Yeah.
And also like I love active forms of meditation. So I do a lot of improv and salsa dancing where I don't have time to think, but you have to feel. And that's just like, you're right. The downloads you get, just like the confidence you get in yourself. Like that is a badass mission. And I'm so excited. So you make sure you please let us know how we can be involved, because like the room that you met downstairs is going to love to get involved.
Yeah,
that is incredible.
I'm developing a new app right now that'll be released in the next 6 months that I would love. And it's an app about helping people spread love and helping others. And we're gamifying it and doing all kinds of cool things with it. So I'll let you guys know when that's ready. So I think this audience would really love the app. And
hell yeah.
So it's like, do something nice for yourself, do something nice, or starting with doing something, let me back up, doing something nice for someone else, doing something nice for yourself, because you're no good to anyone else if you're not taking care of yourself, and doing something nice for humanity every single day. And it fills up a heart if you check one off that you did, the heart gets a little fuller. You check another one, it gets a little fuller. You check another one off, the heart radiates. And just inspiring people to do that. And then they can add other things into the app too, like other habits, daily habits and stuff like that. But We're gamifying it. I'm trying to build a movement around helping uplift humanity by doing more good in the world. And that's gonna be the first asset being developed by the foundation right now with the money I've invested so far.
That's beautiful.
So thank you.
So now I want to ask you this as we come close to an end, but you're not going to talk to me in the scenario. You're going to talk to the person who's watching and struggling. They hear you. They're working 80 hours. They are stressed out. They're the primary money maker. They know they got to keep working. They're like, I know I need to do this. I don't know where to start. I'm scared. If you're having a conversation with them right now, you're not talking to me, you're talking to them. What are you telling them?
Yeah. So what I'm telling you is I know you're scared. I was scared too. But do you ever take a vacation? I'm assuming maybe you do, even though you're working with your laptop on the vacation. Well, if you can take a vacation, even with your laptop, you can do the 30-day experiment and just see what data you learn. Because even if you don't like the methodology and it doesn't work for you, which it will, but if you don't like it, at least you'll learn data about yourself that you can learn to be a better business owner and work less because you'll learn to be more efficient. So that's what I would tell you. And if not now, when are you ever going to learn to break this cycle of this hamster wheel? It's an addiction that we don't realize. Workaholism is the popular addiction in North America and across the world that no one likes to talk about. And don't wait for losing everything in a fire like I did to realize that there are things that are more important. So my book can help you. There's free resources if you don't want to buy the book that can help you. But I just hope that you will heed this call and not wait till it's too late, until you're on your deathbed going, man, I wish I spent more time with my family, instead of, no one ever said, man, I wish I spent more time at the office or working in my company. I call it the someday maybes. Get rid of the freaking someday maybes. Someday maybe when I have more time, I'm going to do this. Someday maybe when I have more money, I'm going to do this. How can you bring them into the now? And that book actually helps you build a plan for that too.
Absolutely. That was amazing. So in conclusion, where can people find you? Where can they get the book? Give me all the goodies. Yeah.
So of course you can get it on Amazon and all the places you can buy books. But if you want to get the book bonuses that go with it, there is vacationeffectbook.com. And so vacation for effect.com or vacationeffectbook.com. But, you can also go to Vacation Effect and you'll find it there. But that gets you straight to the download page for the book bonuses. Yeah. And if they want a time hacking cheat sheet, that's at growbysubtraction.com. Okay. You grow by doing less, not more. That's what the term grow by subtraction means.
Love that.
Yeah.
My absolute last question is, for those that are watching this, they're listening to you, they are thinking about coming to an event. We have our big annual event in November. You're clearly here at a Mastermind Intensive. What would you tell someone that's on the fence about this community and why they should be here?
I have been so welcomed by this group and I've had a blast hanging out and talking with people. I can definitely tell that these are my kind of people. Everybody leaves their ego at the door. If you ask them a question, they'll answer you honestly, but they're not leading with their ego. You're just getting real people. They don't have to everybody doesn't have to wear a Rolex and show off whatever. Yes. Not that you couldn't, and it'd still be cool or whatever, but that's not the vibe of this group. Then I've been in groups where, who had the biggest Rolex and the biggest, Rolls Royce outside was the thing. That's not the vibe of this group. Yeah. The vibe is more, not that, half the people here don't have that, but that's not the vibe they're leading with. That's not their style. So, but it's more just hardworking, smart, brilliant entrepreneurs that are just, seem like the kind that would give you the shirt off their back. They just want to make a difference in the world. That's what I've picked up in the last 2 days. I don't know. What do you think? You agree with that statement?
You just summarized that perfectly.
Yeah, and that's what I picked up in 2 days. So reading the energy of the room and how people have treated me.
And I love that. I love that they've been giving you that amazing experience.
I've loved it. I hope to be able to come to more in the future in between the other groups that I'm already in. But I would definitely come back without a doubt.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, this is amazing. We're so glad that you were here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of this podcast. Again, I'm Brett Kaufman. I'm the co-host of the Four Rooms podcast. Remember, you're only one relationship away, and this is the room where you need to be in if you want to scale in your health, your relationships, and your connections and your finances, because everything you need is right here. So, Denise, thank you so much for being with us. And we're so excited to welcome you back later on.
Thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it.
As we wrap up today's episode, we have something special just for you. If you've been inspired by what we've explored today and you're ready to take your learning to the next level, then our Four Rooms Mastermind live event is the perfect next step. And because you're a part of our podcast family, we're offering an exclusive 10% discount on your registration when you apply and are accepted. This is your chance. It's your chance to build relationships with other ambitious entrepreneurs like yourself, to dive deeper into the 4 rooms of entrepreneurship, and to connect with experts who can truly help accelerate your growth. Simply follow the event link in the description of this episode and use the promo code 4rooms10. That's FOURROOMS10 on your application to claim this opportunity. This offer is subject to application approval and it's limited, so don't wait too long to make your decision. Join us and transform your journey with the insights and networking that only our live events can offer. Thank you for tuning in today. We look forward to seeing you at the event and, of course, right back here next time on the 4 Rooms podcast. Until then, keep balancing and keep growing.